Welcome to the channel. My name is Mantis. Today we're going to talk about a long forgotten Avengers crossover called Celestial Quest. It is a pretty crazy story written by Steve Englehart. So the story revolves around Mantis, a Avenger that I have never really liked. Surprisingly, I like her MCU version much more than her comic book counterpart. Her whole backstory is insanely convoluted. So we get her return in this story. She had been MI for a very long time. At least for me, the last time we saw her was during The Crossing and then during Heroes Reborn. I'm not sure if she ever popped up in between Heroes Reborn and this story that came out in 2001. And also we have the return of Thanos. He had not popped up for a while prior to this. A little bit after this crossover, we're going to get the Thanos ongoing series. And then his return to glory during the Annihilation crossover. At least for me, that's his big return to relevance within the context of the Marvel Universe. So this story actually starts off with Thanos. He's arrived on Earth and he's hunting down like different versions of Mantis. This part actually is pretty confusing at first. You don't really understand what's the deal. There are like 5 different Mantises running around trying to not be killed by the Mad Titan. Later on in the story, we're going to discover that Mantis had died and her essence had dispersed. And it had started to reform over the years, but in different versions of herself, focusing on different aspects of her persona, if that makes any sense. So you would like have the prostitute Mantis, the mother Mantis, then you would have the priestess Mantis. It's sort of funny because later on in the story, Mantis is going to explain this whole situation to Vision when she gets into the retelling of her life, and she completely omits the whole crossover. That sounded really redundant, but that's how it's called. She's like, there's some aspects of my personality that I don't remember and I don't think anyone should remember. So what happens is Thanos is trying to hunt down all these Mantises, and one of them ends up calling out telepathically to the Vision of all people, a android. I have no idea how he can sense that she was in peril, but the thing is, he doesn't waste any time. He goes to his teammates. He's like, Mantis is back. We got to go rescue her. I do have to mention, because this is going to be a big part of the story and a very awkward part to the story, Mantis has always had the hots for Vision. Even when Vision was with the Scarlet Witch, she didn't care. She was like X-Men Blue era Psylocke with Cyclops, but taken to 11. And it's sort of funny because when Scarlet Witch finds out about the situation that they have to go rescue Mantis, I'm not really sure at this time, but I think Scarlet Witch was like on a on-again, off-again relationship with Wonder Man, character where Vision's personality was derived from, and she seems sort of jealous over the situation. So right off the bat in the story, you have like these very strong soap opera vibes to it. So the Avengers lineup that we get in this story that's going to first go and confront Thanos will be Scarlet Witch, Vision, Thor, Silverclaw. Obviously, later on in the story, Mantis is going to be part of this team, and a refugee character from the Squadron Supreme, Haywire, who looks a lot like the character Solo. Now, Haywire in the story is dealing with the death of the love of his life, Inertia, who was a teammate of his on the Squadron Supreme. And the thing is, I don't know too much about her death. I don't know too much about this whole backstory in general. And one thing I do have to make an observation is that we're going to have the Avengers confront Thanos, try to stop him from killing the last Mantis, like the Mantis Prime. And now, I love Englehart's work in general. I feel like he's a classic 1980s writer. But man, his characterization of Thanos, and especially his dialogues, just really don't work for me. So we get this standstill in this battle between Thanos and the Avengers. The Mad Titan out loud says to everyone there, look, I'm not actually gunning for you. I'm trying to find your kid. And when he realizes that he's not on Earth, he just teleports away. So thanks to Thanos, their antagonist, the Avengers know exactly what he's going for. They set out into outer space because Mantis actually had put her child under the protection of the Kotati, this race of plant people, because also his father was a Kotati too, so he's half human, half plant person. And he's supposedly destined to be this intergalactic messiah. So what happens is the Avengers soup up one of their Quintjets, they go into outer space. They end up actually powering it with Mjolnir. That's a really cool detail there. And since we have Silverclaw on the team, who is like the new young member to the Avengers during this time, and she wasn't familiar with Mantis, we get a very complete exposition dump on Mantis's origins, and that she was like the celestial Madonna. Like, the whole concept of Mantis is pretty crazy. Like, she goes from being a prostitute to being the mother of this intergalactic savior. Now, to fulfill this prophecy, she had to have a child with one of these Kotati, these plant aliens, who very oddly takes the appearance of one of her lovers, Swordsman, who had previously died. I think he was killed by Kang, but the thing is that she has this child with this Kotati. They have space sex. It's just very weird, the whole situation. She comes back to Earth to have the child and wants to give him a normal human upbringing. But then the Kotati wanted to have their Messiah, this intergalactic Messiah, on their planet so they could protect him. So since she was relieved of her motherhood obligations, she became friends with the Silver Surfer and started flying around the cosmos. That's when she was killed and her essence was dispersed across the cosmos, as I mentioned previously. While we're getting this giant-sized exposition dump, the story cuts to Thanos, whom has an audience with Eternity. We also have present order, chaos, and even death. And the Mad Titan actually manifests to everyone present that he's not in love with death anymore. That it seems that he wants to become a full-on god, and that everything that he's going to do in the story is to be able to achieve this goal. Then we get this priceless moment between Mantis and Vision. Mantis discovers everything that had gone down with Vision, that his mind had been erased, that he had been disassembled, that he had lost the twins, his kids, that he had had with the Scarlet Witch. And what happens is Mantis is like, okay, yeah, that sounds very sad, but I'm a woman and I have my needs. Let's bump uglies. It's so freaking hilarious, this part of the story. There are even a couple of really hilarious lines by Silverclaw. Her child's life is in danger and she's focused on getting laid with Vision. And I must add that Vision's ex-wife is on board the ship literally after they do the deed. The Scarlet Witch is literally sitting a couple feet away from the door. This whole part of the story, it's just so weird. And it happens again, like the whole universe is in peril, but Vision and Mantis have to get it on. So I'm going to leave this video here. I hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time. Bye.